Hi, Jen Gallacher with a Jillibean soup tutorial. Today we're going to use one of our rustic wood frames. This one is the 12 by 16 and it's nice and large. It has this beautiful stained piece on the outside and it has a white piece on the inside, and the insert is removable. Now I wanted to show you a couple of different things and options that you could use for these pieces. So one thing is when you're out and you're shopping, look for things that could be placed inside, three-dimensional things. For instance, this beautiful Happy Campers wood piece I found at Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to show you on the back. It was kind of a dark brown, and I usually have black accents, so don't be afraid to alter this. I just altered this with some acrylic paint. I knew that it would fit perfectly in the 12 by 16 because I had measured it beforehand. So one way to easily add dimension to these frames is just to buy something that can be glued and placed inside, and you can go as thick as you want. This one is probably about a ½ inch thick. You could leave it as is. Let me show you what it looks like. Just rip off this piece so you can see, but you could easily just glue this as is, and that is super dynamic. We also have foam stickers that come in black and white. For the black, you could place them down, or for the white, you could paint the background a color and then place the foam stickers inside. But I kind of wanted to go with the theme of camping outdoors. I think this would be darling in a little boy's room or a teen boy's room. So then I wanted to add some paper behind this Happy Campers sign. So a couple of different options. Unfortunately, this is too wide for scrapbooking paper. Scrapbooking paper comes as a 12 by 12. So unless you have a pattern that repeats and you could repeat it and do two pieces, you need to find a longer option for this 12 by 16. So a couple of different options that I found is this project paper. This is from JoAnn's, and it is double-sided. It is got a slight gloss finish. On one side it has a damask, and on the other side it has a beautiful map. So outside of the box for even this, you could do a wrapping paper background. You need to find one that's a little less glossy. Glossy shows every wrinkle. Look for something a little more matte. I like these because they do have a gloss finish to them, but it's so light that it's not going to show every flaw. Okay, so another option is to actually use a vintage map. Now this is great because maps come with lots of different colors. United States maps tend to have the same colors. They usually have the reds and the blues and the greens. The nautical maps often are a different color. Mountain maps are often brown. When you do something like this, what's fun is look for a map that's significant to you and your family. For instance, my family lived in Savannah, Georgia for 4 years, and so I thought this Georgia map was really cool. So I pulled a couple of different things, but I hope I've got you thinking a little bit. Now, to remove the insert, it's just like a photo frame. Now, there are these plastic tabs on the back of our rustic frames and some of our other pieces. You just need a little mini screwdriver to screw it off. But what you'll want to do is open up all the tabs, just like you would a picture frame, and then just pop out the insert. All right, so I have removed the insert, and I'm going to set this aside, and we're going to work with just the insert itself. Now, the insert is great for creating a template for whatever paper you are going to cut, and I'm going to actually go ahead and cut two different pieces, one from the project paper and one from the map paper. So the map paper is fairly straightforward in its design, meaning it doesn't really have anything that is super interesting or stands out. So basically what that means is it's kind of a neutral pattern. So you can go ahead and just trace the outline anywhere on your project. Now, if you have a piece that has something more interesting, like the Georgia map I'm going to use, then you are going to want to do something a little bit different. But for this, you're just going to trace that outline, and then you can come back with scissors and just cut that out. So here's what I mean about the pattern kind of being kind of neutral. You can see that there's nothing on this map that seems more important than anything else. And I really love papers like this because then my writing or my object can be the center of attention. And look how that just pops off that map paper. So that is one option. I'm going to go ahead and cut the Georgia map so I can show you that as well and what to do when you have something that you want to draw attention to on the map. So I've unfolded the map, and the first thing you see is that the map, because it was folded, has folds in it. And that's totally okay. I think that adds to the authenticity of the piece that you have used something that is real. So again, I mentioned that we lived in Savannah, Georgia, and that is right here on the map. So I want to make sure that I incorporate that into my map design. So I already know that a little bit of the frame is going to cover this grid part on the side that has the alphabet, so I can go ahead and overlap that. The second thing I want to think about is where my letters are going to go, because if I place the letters on top, you kind of lose Savannah. So maybe I want to do it a little off center, or maybe I just want to make sure that the letters don't completely cover it. So those are some things to think about. So move this happy camper. And then if it does end up getting covered, it's going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. And we'll just use our pencil like we did with the other piece. And we'll just trace this onto the matte paper. And I actually got this matte paper from Concord Road, which is Jill's antiquing and home goods business. I was out in Ohio at the office and I saw this Georgia map and I bought it off of her. So thanks, Jill. So now again, what you're going to do is just use your scissors and you're going to cut out that piece. And that will ensure that you get whatever important part of the pattern you want to get. So anytime you have a piece of paper that has an important pattern, make sure when you place your template piece on, you are centering that piece of the pattern wherever you want. All right, so here's the matte paper, and let me show you what it looks like with the happy campers on top, and it worked out perfectly. I did not cover up the Savannah. So then it just comes down to whatever look you're going for. Now I want to decide between this matte paper, which I think is playful and would go with a room that has lots of different colors in it, or do I want to go with the project paper where it is a little more tone on tone. And honestly, I think I like this one best. I don't know what it is, but camping, I think of brown. And this is a Parisian map. That's totally okay. What we're looking for here is just kind of the colors and textures. So I've chosen the project paper, and then I will just, you could use spray on adhesive, but I'm going to use a glue gun. And just not tons of glue, but enough to hold it in place because the wood letters we're going to use are quite strong, so you don't want to rip your paper when it's hanging. So just go to town. You could also Mod Podge the paper on. It is actually designed to do that. It's the purpose of that project paper. So to make sure I get it nice and smooth, I will start with the bottom and I'll align that, and then I'll smooth up and out. That ensures I don't get any bubbles. And then just keep flattening and then let it dry. If you need to, place something heavy on top of it so it stays nice and smooth for you. But this project paper is great for any kind of inserts. So this is a great idea, and be sure to check them out at your local JoAnn store. All right, so now it's dried and smooth, and we've placed it inside the frame, and then just use your fingers or a butter knife and close all those tabs back up. And then flip it over, and you can see how beautiful that looks. It even looks pretty just like that. Now again, this is what is going to go in the center of this awesome frame. So we want to make sure we kind of get that aligned, and then we'll use our glue gun again to add glue. And you have to move quickly. Glue guns do dry fairly quickly, so I tend to put glue in some of the more important places Move really fast. We can come back and clean up the strings later. You could use E6000 glue as well. Just get a lot on there. Come back if you feel like any of the glue has dried. And then try not to kind of move it and squish it down. You kind of want to get your placement right off the bat. And then press firmly. And now is when you can kind of come back in between and clean up any of those glue strings. But isn't that great? Now you have this gorgeous Happy Camper sign, and it has a vintage map piece behind, and it's just super easy to put together. So look for different items that you can put on the front of the frames that are dimensional, and then look for some interesting pieces of fabric or matte paper or other items that you can put behind. Thank you for joining us for this Jillibean soup tutorial. Take a moment to subscribe to our YouTube channel and visit our website for additional information.